Hello, technical writing students. This is your teacher, Julie Gross, and we're going to talk about the product comparison recommendation assignment for this week. You've gone through step 1 and step 2, and maybe some of you have done part of step 3 where you start doing your research on your 4 brands or styles of product that you're looking at. So what you're going to do for this week is write your recommendation report using a memo format again. So if you're missing what the memo format was, again, I tell you here to look back into chapter 3 because that's where we talked about those memo formats. When you go through this one, it's going to be a longer memo than what you're used to, so you're probably going to want to label the parts of your report. That's going to be a helpful thing. If you look in your book in chapter 8, where it talks about some of those short reports and proposals, it's going to give you some examples. There's a figure in there that's going to show you how nice it looks when you have headings for the different parts of your report. You're going to need an introduction section, you're going to need a summary section, you're going to need a recommendation section, and a works cited section. And you can add other parts as you see fit, but those are the ones that you need to have or that are required for the recommendation report. So in your introduction, what you're going to need to do is explain what you did. And that means tell me what you chose as your product, show me why you chose that product, and then also you're going to make a reference to your chart or graph. And I'm going to explain your chart or graph or table that you're going to need in your recommendation report as well. So those are the things that you want to have in your introductory section. The next one that it talks about here in the assignment sheet, it says explain the individual criteria as necessary. This isn't a section that's required, but if you want to add it in to explain to your readers, which would be me, why you chose the criteria that you chose to look at, you can do that. Sometimes I don't understand or I don't know all of the different programs that you guys are in or all of the different things that you've chosen, like climbing gaffs for the Powerline program. I didn't know anything about those, so sometimes they had to explain to me why they chose the criteria that they did. I didn't know exactly what would be important in choosing or recommending climbing gaffs, so they had to give me some information about their criteria, so they had a whole section on that. Or even a glossary of terms. Maybe you're explaining drills, cordless drills, and I don't really understand what torque is or something like that. You might have to, if you want to, add in another section to give me those things in your memo as well. Another section that is required is a summary section. The summary section is not necessarily a summary of everything that you found in your research. It's just going to be your surprise moments, the things that surprised you, or the aha moments, I like to call them. The things that made you go, actually, the things that stood out to you, things that surprised you. Wow, I was surprised to find out that this one had a battery life 3 times that of the other drills, things like that. A recommendation section is probably the most important part. You need to tell us which product you think is the best product and why. You have to recommend one. That's the whole point behind this project, is comparing all of these different brands and then recommending one, which one you think is best. You do need a works cited section because you're going to do a lot of research. You need to record all of the different sources, probably online sources that you find. List them in alphabetical order and use this as an example. I started with reciprocating saw and quotation marks because that's going to be my web page that I was on. Then you put in the name of the website, which here in this case was DeWalt.com. Then your publisher. If there's no publisher, you just put NP. The copyright date, or the date that the website was updated, it would be 2010 in this case. You put the word web down to show that's your medium or that it's an online source. The day that you actually access that source. And then if you'd like to, which is helpful for me, is if you put down the full URL where you found your information. That's not absolutely required, but it is helpful, okay? And I give you a little bit more information on it there that I just explained to you. Another big section of your final recommendation report is the charter table. You're going to need a charter table to explain all of the different criteria and all the findings. That's where your research goes, okay? And I give you an example of that mentioned here in the book as well. So give the chart a heading. You need to name it. Name it Figure 1 or Chart 1. Give it a specific title. Your title is probably going to be something like Comparison of Climbing Gaffs, something like that. When you refer to your chart or your graph in the introduction, remember I told you you needed to do that, you'll say something like see chart 1 for more information, or for the criteria and the findings, see chart 1. And that way we know that if your chart is on the second page, which it probably will be, that it's coming yet. So that's helpful in your introduction so that your reader knows that there's an additional page with more information on it. You're going to want to make sure you label things, and you're going to think about what your chart looks like. Your horizontal and your vertical columns should be labeled. And think about how it looks, how you're going to space things out, how your headings need to be different than the information in the chart. Think about those things. I am going to show you an example of a recommendation report here in just a moment. Thank you.